Welcome back to Kin in Line. This is part 132 by my reckoning. I was inadvertently cut off. I knocked the stop button by mistake last time as we were discussing this article that I've illustrated by doing something to Mugabe's face. Not sure what I was trying to do. Anyway, also had a little creature there looking a bit despondent. And this one is out of one of the blue meanies, I think. This guy's also not too up with it. So I wrote this article, which they thankfully, I think Rick Wilson was still in charge. They ran here, in which I wonder whether our ANC leaders ever read Hartnack's alarming reports from Harare. So I was kind of writing an overview article because I'm kind of widely read. Patrick Cole was the political correspondent and was very much still discussing and writing about inter-party squabbling, etc. Trivial stuff by comparison with the collapse of a country on our doorstep. We're living now 20 years later almost. This was 04, so 18 years later, we still have a collapsed country on our doorstep. Once the breadbasket of Southern Africa, one of the wealthier, more successful countries, thanks to a sort of cooperation between the white people with expertise and the black people who were well educated and could have made a huge success of Zimbabwe. Anyway, that's my two pence worth. And let's get back to the art, which in this is still, I think that is probably a more readable piece on the leader page than anything else, because it's a real interesting drawing. Tracy Mackey sold out to the ANC, basically joined them, but still was on the paper. So you have to ask about conflicts of interest. And this was old Robert Ball, the guy who, while a very good friend and very supportive, had to pass on the message from above that I was no longer allowed to express myself the way Tracy Mackey was able to do, and probably got paid handsomely to do so. I got paid a pittance for the odd article I wrote and nothing for any of the letters. This was 04. This is when I was starting to churn out books, self-published books, and here Mike Utley, my colleague, says that my book Conversations, it's a South African discourse, is an eloquent look at our country's past. And he says, Bentley, familiar to readers of the Herald as an insightful observer of events in the country. Yeah. Just looking at my little drawings interspersed amongst the political fray here. And then some more wackies up the side there. And then I was still doing my art reviews, and here's the art meander, which they wanted me to publicize back in 04. So I'd included this nice little face. I think it's pure coincidence that this little man-beast here kind of takes on a slightly Japanese look under Hyundai. Is Hyundai Japanese or is it Korean? I think it's Korean. Or was that Honda? Anyway. This is probably just interesting. I think it's probably also 04. Really wacky oak with great ears. But it's the price of goods that's interesting. I mean, prices have soared since the days when you could buy a lounge suite for 9,000 Rand. (2005) and great little figure here. And of course he had to keep up a sense of proportion and humor, and I think this guy does, despite all the odds. This one is done on the side. It's actually a photocopy. Yeah, we used to photocopy the things we sent up. This would be a sticker on the back of a photograph sent up for processing, scanning, and so forth. It was all quite a complex arrangement. So, yeah, I can't recall what year that would have been, but probably around 04, 05. And sorry, mate, we'll have to unlink, place something else. So, yeah, so a story was linked to a page. That's just a skate, my design for a kind of a skateboard. Roller skates or just neat shoes with little wheels on. So this would have come from the chief sub or something. I think Dion Roelofs maybe, telling me they've changed their minds on something. Again, I had to send Uitenhage flood something report to Newsdesk, a mess and not what was mentioned in conference. So you often get a story that didn't live up to expectations, and out it would go. And there would be anger, as evidenced here, this creature with its serrated teeth. Very hard to pluck these little things off. Another toothy creature. And this, done with my left hand, is basically a guy who, what do they put, straitjacket here? Looks like a straight chap in a straitjacket. Yeah, that was also symbolical where I was stuck on that newspaper. I was meant to work through to 2021, but of course they forced me to take retirement in 2014. I worked then as a contract worker for another 18 months, and then they summarily ousted me. But those were the army I accumulated. Pictures galore. And most of them with some sort of relevance also to the political thing. I mean, these printouts are unique in themselves in that no one else, people will have a copy of the newspaper, but they won't have a printout before it was published. And I quite enjoyed this little ripoff of Tony Blair. So here you can see the pictures on the page, but it hasn't been cropped to fit in that space. Just go over one column. Yeah, I've given Tony some exaggerated external breasts, and Sherry, I think his wife's name is, enhanced the cleavage there a bit. And then this guy's having a good naked smirk. As you can hear, I'm a bit of a shit stirrer when it comes to the news, but I think that is always necessary on a newspaper, else it's just boring. Really enjoy this, the line here. I mean, it's sweet, man. But it's hard to pick up. Sure. And this is how I would feel at the end of a night's labours. Pretty well stuffed. This would probably have been drawn this way up. Yeah. Even more out of it. And so here we've got a photo of some people. Note Terry Herbst to caption. Now Terry was a veteran journalist, city councillor, and then he used to do the Herald Christmas cheer where they raised money for charity. And of course the woke brigade eventually ousted him because even though he was gay, so that was a good thing as far as they would be concerned, but he was very conservative, not in a racist sense, but in a, well, let's conserve what we have instead of destroying it sense. So here we asked for a picture in color, and that's not deep etched. And just another picture that I could really, if I had the inclination, could take a canvas and really lay that down with some searing color. I can just imagine trying to get as good an image as I've got in line, and it's not easy. What colors to choose? Is it going to be I think it'd be a really abstract, semi-abstract, very expressionist wealth of vibrant colors. But I'm going to leave it there for now. Till next time. Cheers.